Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and finally I'm back at it with another 1 to 18 model unboxing and review video, and this one's been a long awaited for one, and I really hope this one's going to be worth it. So today we're unboxing something that's got some serious attitude. It's the 118 RWB Porsche 993 made by Solido. So this is a hand-built, wide-fended piece of art, essentially. An RWB 911 wearing one of motorsport's most iconic-looking liveries called the Pink Pig. And what happens when that iconic livery meets the raw, unapologetic style of Akira Nakai's RWB? Well, you get this. A classic air-cooled 911 transformed into pretty much a street-legal race car with a samurai spirit. So, typical Solido style. You can see it's just got Solido, the writing over there, and these large see-through clear windows on the front, the sides, as well as the top and the rear. And then, of course, in the back, we've got the standard Solido writing. This car is a very recent release. I actually wanted to get it before, but it was sold out. So they've started to come back in stock for most places. And there are some other ones available in this livery. One from Ignition Models, which is crazy expensive. And also another one from GT Spirit. But that one is a non-opening model, so as you'll see, this one's doors actually open, so I thought this one would be a really cool one to go for. And it's a brand new release, so let's see what it's all about. So I have never actually opened this model before, so this is a real-time, first-time unboxing. All I did was remove the stickers from here, so it'll be the first time I'm holding this model in my hand as well. So you can just open it from this section here. And of course, this RWB is based on the Porsche 993, essentially the final chapter in the air-cooled 911 legacy. It was produced between 1994 and 98, and the 993 is a very cool car because it brought a modern refinement to this classic Porsche silhouette. And it's got a 3.6 liter flat six engine as well, which pushes out about 285 horsepower, and it also had this new multi-link suspension, and it pretty much changed the way a 911 handled. And really, for many purists, it was pretty much the last 911, the last real one, because it was the last air-cooled one, of course. So you can already see how menacing this car looks coming out of the box. I really love the overall look of this. It's absolutely crazy. So of course it's got this huge wide body, which is immediately sets a strong presence to the car. Of course, RWB RWB, it's known. It's not really just a tuning brand, it's kind of a global movement which was born from the vision of Akira Nakai. He's pretty much blends raw Japanese street style, as you can see here, with the precision of German engineering. So he always does these kind of Porsches, different shapes, usually like 964s, 993s, and all those kind of cars. He hand builds each car with these wide riveted fenders, this crazy low slung aero, and also usually quite deep dish wheels as well. And it's pretty much got a very cool signature look. It's not really just tuning, it's like more like a philosophy really. And each car is unique as well. And this one, they're all kind of named individually, so he only does one car with each name. They're all pretty much named almost like a character in a story, and this one is no different, of course. As you can see on the plinth down here and on the side skirt, you can see the word Sopranos. So it's not just a decal on the side of the car, it's actually this specific car's name given by Nakai's son himself. And every RWB gets a unique name, and this one's got a pretty cool one. It's very like mafia, big boss kind of name. I think I like it, and especially with this color, it's like it's a unique sort of like predicament almost, you know. This color is very, very wild. Let's actually remove this car off this plinth. So you can see it's just secured by 4 little screws over there as typical. And then we've also got a little opening thingy for the doors there. So give me a sec while I unscrew this and I'll see you in a moment. So now I have removed the car from the packaging, as well as the little piece of tape that was actually holding the doors closed. And first impressions, in terms of weight, it's actually quite a weighty car. So I'm not sure if they've actually put some weight probably underneath here. It feels a little bit heavier in the rear than it does at the front. It's really like, it feels like a substantial kind of model. But I just quickly like to talk about the this crazy livery, because it's one of the most striking parts of this car. It's really something that kind of is thrown in your face as soon as you see this car. So essentially, this Pink Pig livery actually originated originally on the Porsche 917-20 Le Mans race car. Really, it was a one-off test car, and that car combined the wide track width of the 917K as well as the long tail of the 917 LH. Really, it was more of an aerodynamic experiment and kind of a rolling joke, a butcher's diagram like drawn all across a Porsche's body. And it was painted this crazy pink with these butcher sort of cuts of meat marked all over the body, you know, like ham, ribs, shoulders. I will translate all of the ones that are actually on this car. And that was because of its unusual shape. And despite the joke, the car was actually really fast. Unfortunately, it did crash out during the race after it had a brake failure. So that's not very good. But the livery itself became a cult favorite because of how insane it looked and the fact that Porsche actually ran with the joke publicly. And then in 2018, Porsche brought back this livery on the 911 RSR GTE for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And that car actually won in its class, which was the GTE Pro class. And it beat all the Ferraris, Fords, and Aston Martins and every other competitor. And of course, since then, this livery has become a favorite among all sorts of customizers, you know, for different brands, and especially in Porsche fan builds. And you can see it on everything from like Caymans to GT3s. And I think they've even done it on a yacht or something, like a boat or something like that, as well as this RWB. I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a history. It's very, very intriguing, and I've always really loved this livery. And so let's dive into the model itself. So straight away, looking at the car itself, and we see this very beautiful paint quality. It's got a really high amount of reflection on the car. And the color is really, really vivid and striking. And I really love the contrast between these cut sections and this huge number 23 with that wide backing. It's just kind of got this sort of classic look to it, especially paired with these really nice black wheels. So let's kind of start off at the top here. So and the very top, we've got this part that says Hirn, which means brain. So that is at the top of the car, it makes sense. And then we've got this really nice Rauwelt piece of like front windscreen livery. After the windscreen, we've got this double windscreen wipers, which is very intriguing looking. The fact that they're so close to one another, it's not something usual that you can see on normal kind of road cars. So it's a very intriguing piece of design, and I'm really into that. It's very cool. I like these little quirky kind of touches in car design. On the front bonnet, we can see that we've got some more German butcher's writing. So here we have Hals, and that means neck. So of course that once again makes sense. Then here we've got Russell, which I think is actually just a brand name. And of course the iconic number 23, which belonged to that original Le Mans car. And then we've got a really nice Porsche logo. So you can see it's got a really good quality with that little gold coloring to it. And the logo is very nicely visible. And then of course we've got this Porsche writing in the center, which looks very crisp and clear. Then we head into these really nice looking swept back sort of headlights. So because this was the 993, of course the angle of the headlights was quite a bit more extreme than the previous generation, just to help with that aerodynamic efficiency. And we've got these really beautiful headlights, and you can see how well they're modeled. They've actually got the little like reflector stripes underneath the actual light itself. And I have seen on images that the Ignition model and the GT Spirit versions have slightly different lights. So some of them actually have a tinted light, and some of them have like an X running across the headlights, which is a really cool touch. Of course they probably didn't want to do it on this one as well because it would be too similar, but I think if you have one of these models, I might even do that. I might just put like an X across it, maybe with just like some black insulation tape or something, just so I can remove it if I don't like it. But that's some really nice detailing on the headlights. And then of course the body shapes are really beautiful. You can see the kind of light hitting off these soft Porsche surfaces, very typical. And now heading to this front bumper, we've got these really cool intakes over here, and they actually have some 3D texture of a grille. And unfortunately nothing behind it, it's just kind of closed off, but it does look nice that there is actually a bit of texture over there. And then we've got these little turn signals underneath the lights, and they are also 3D modeled separate pieces, and you can see how nice and clear that plastic is, and the quality of the modeling for the reflectors that are kind of hidden in there. And then in the center here you can also see that there's a really cool tow hook, and it looks really beautiful in this red color. It's a very kind of highlighted element in this car. And of course now we come to this really crazy looking front sort of chin spoiler slash front lip, and you can see Nakai-san's influence with this deep sort of chin spoiler and the low stance that it gives this car. It's got a very race car kind of approach to it, and it's finished off in this really cool black, almost looks like a rubber style black, and then it's highlighted by these really nice little chrome chromy silver little bolts over there. And then of course in the front, typical of RWBs, it says Zweite Entwicklung, which means a second development. And then of course we've got another little logo here that says Seth. And then we head to these very cool looking black front wheels. So they do actually have a little bit of movement, which is very nice. So the car can actually roll, and you can see that the brake rotors actually roll with the wheels as well. And it's got very nice ventilated brake discs, and even the holes themselves are finished in black to give it that look of the air channels running through the brake rotors. And then of course you can also see that it's got a very nice brake caliper in there as well that just says Porsche in a nice little white kind of effect. And the wheels themselves look like they're maybe made from like a 2-piece or 3-piece, so you can actually see the bolts running through the edges of the wheel itself. And I just wanted to see if there was like an air pump valve, but I don't see any. But nonetheless, it's very cool, and it's even got this little bolt finished in silver as well. And then of course we've got this very cool idlers writing on the wheel. So Akira Nakai always puts those on the cars. He usually just kind of spray paints them onto the real cars. The wheels do have some movement. It is not a lot, but it does give you a little bit of movement and a little bit of, you know, like a perspective. You know, from here you can kind of pose the car at kind of different angles if you want to. So it's not very wild, but it's there nonetheless, so that's really cool. And then heading to this really wide body, you can once again see the sort of influence that RWB takes. They kind of take the original like this beautiful soft but muscular surfaces of the original Porsches, and they kind of just bolster it up and give it quite a lot of extension and really just extend the look of all those crazy Porsche surfaces. And these wide bodies look absolutely insane. So here you can see the little rivets going through this front sort of area as well, just where the body kit is actually joined onto the body. And here you can see the writing, which says Schulter, and that means shoulder in German. So we've had brain, neck, and shoulder. It makes sense, I suppose. And there you have a very nice little, very highly detailed little turn signal as well. Also a separate 3D piece, and it's really well modeled, even for the size and for the look of such a tiny kind of piece. And then these cool lines continue down the side, and then we come to this beautiful looking classical number 23 with this white circular race car style, you know. And then here on the bottom it says Wamme. I think that's how it's pronounced, Wamme. And that's actually a specific butcher's term. It's not really used in German commonly, and it means a belly part. So I think it's actually some kind of like a specific term only used by butchers. And then now we come down to this very cool Sopranos logo, and it's even got the gun. And that's a really crazy looking logo. And of course this is the actual name of this car. So as I mentioned before, all of them get pretty much their own unique names. So this one could have been the owner wanted to have this name if, you know, maybe they were a fan of the show, or I don't know, maybe, I don't know, they're like involved in something. I don't know, you know, I don't want to say anything like that, but it's very cool. And I really like the fact that Sopranos is like mafia kind of related, and then you've got this pink color. It's just such a funny contrast to give to the car, and I like the humor in that actually. And then just above the writing you've got these little silver dots as well, which look very nice. And then of course you've got the door handle on the door, and it's a very well modeled piece of design. You can see it's even got the little handle you push down when you want to open the door, and then the keyhole highlighted in silver as well. And then just before we go further, we've also got the wing mirrors, and you can see that it's also got the chrome finish, so it's actually got some reflection on the car. And let's head a little bit further back. We've also got this really beautiful DLO, just to mention quick. It's extremely typical Porsche DLO and an absolutely unique and original shape. And then on the back window it says Oscar Co logo, and then it's got a number 25 and some kind of writing there, Porsche something. Maybe you can read it better on the video than I can in real life. It's very, very minuscule. If I put my glove there, you can see that each individual letter is smaller than the thread in my gloves, so it's very, very tiny. And then of course we come to the section underneath the window here, and that says Lender, and Lender means loin. And then we've got another piece of cut meat just underneath there, which says Schinken, and that actually means ham. And of course, before we get to the back wheels, you can also see it's got this crazy wide body once again, just reflecting that sort of racing inspired muscle kind of look, and really accentuating the surfaces of the Porsche. And then we've also got this kind of air channel canard, just to channel the air upwards and around the wheel well. And that's kind of a crazy looking 3D piece actually. I always like it when the RWBs have that, because it's very unique to these cars and it just looks really crazy. And of course I had skipped past it, but we also have a little front canard on the front bumper section too. And now we head to these really crazy rear wheels. You can see that they have a huge amount of offset, and they've got a really extremely deep dish here. So the wheels are staggered. The front ones are not quite as deep, but the rear wheels are extremely deep. And once again, we've got the same sort of style and finish. So it's this kind of like satin black, and then we've got that silver little center hub nut, as well as the little bolts that go around that hold the wheel on. And then we've got also those little bolts that kind of run around the edges of the wheel. And once again, we've got the ventilated disc brakes, but this time they do not spin with a wheel. And this seems to be a case with these Solido models. I don't really understand why, because the front ones spin with the wheels, and the fact that the wheels turn, the front ones turn as well, you would think it's a little bit more complicated to build than the rears. These should just be straightforward, but for some reason the discs don't spin with the wheels. It's just a really crazy thing. I don't really understand why they do it like that. But anyways, once again, we've got the writing on the edge of the tires, and that really completes the look, as well as that Porsche writing on the calipers. And we do have a little bit of detail underneath the car, nothing too exquisite, but we do have this really nice exhaust system running from the engine. So the engine is also just this little piece of molded plastic, nothing too crazy. But when you're taking photos, and say if you have like some kind of a mirror, like a reflector underneath here, then it does give the essence that there is an engine and a really nice exhaust system underneath the car. And then of course we've got these really wide tires as well, with this very cool pattern, and you can see how wide it is, and especially with this wide body, it just looks really cool. And I like the sculptural look to this car. With this RWB kit, it's just it really takes the cake. So let's head to the rear section. So let's start with the bumper, and here you can see that it says Hexen, and Hexen means chop. So this is of course the rear part of the car. And then we've got a nice little Golf livery, And then we've also got this little air outlet just behind the rear wheel, and you can see that's also got a 3D texture, but it's not like a see-through component or anything like that. And then of course that's reflected on both sides. Then in running further down, we've got this really beautiful, like long swept rear tail lights, and it's actually got a really nice finish. You can see how you've got the reflectors on the inside there, and then the brake section, and how deep they all are. They honestly look extremely realistic, and even where the reverse lights would be in these little silver sections are visible too. And it almost looks like there's a bulb in there. I mean, that is really, really impressive. I'm absolutely impressed by the look of these tail lights. They are really, really beautiful. Then, of course, in the center, we've got this number plate, just in simple black, that says idlers. And then, of course, that exhaust that I touched about a moment ago. So you can see it just kind of comes out like this, and it comes out on both sides. The exhausts do not look particularly big, but I suppose this is what they must look like on the real car. I mean, RWB is from Japan, and they usually put huge exhausts on like JDM cars and stuff, but obviously on this Porsche it's not the case. And then we've got this kind of like whale tail wing. It's really, really massive and beautiful. And then underneath there, it just has the RWB writing in huge letters. And once again, this Zweite Entwicklung written on there as well. And then now we can actually get to this really cool and really beautiful tail wing, I suppose I could call it. And I wanted to show you as well that here it's actually also got the intakes for the cooling of the engine. So as I mentioned before, this was the last air-cooled 911. So having this kind of intake is really important, just to channel a little bit more intake air, just to cool the engine down. And then on the top of the engine bay, we've also got these very nice little cooling vents in there as well, which is actually perforated in 3D and gives it a really, really beautiful look. And I love this tail. It looks so cool. And of course there in small letters it says RWB, and in huge German letters it says Schwanz, and that means tail. So continuing with this crazy wing, you can see that these RWB cars are, of course, they hand fitted for, you know, every fender and skirt, and even the wing is riveted in place. And on this car we feature this really high, extremely tall rear wing. You can see how far it lifts off the body. It gives it a really, really menacing look to the car. It actually catches the air that's traveling over the car. So you'd want to put this this extended, really highly extended wing in a place where it can break the airflow coming off even the roof of the car. And of course this wing is also finished in this kind of matte sort of black, which is pretty much the same as what we saw on this front lip over here. And well, that flag on the wing over there, this Chinese flag, well, that's not really just a random sticker, because many RWB builds feature like chosen elements by their owners. So in this case, it most likely represents the owner's heritage or his pride, or maybe the car's origin in China's growing Porsche kind of enthusiast scene. So every RWB tells a story, and this one combines Germany, Japan and China. So it's really just a global one, to be honest, this car. Of course, let's check out the other side as well. So pretty much the same kind of story on this side. Nothing of huge difference. But one thing I can show you is that the stickers in the rear window are actually different to the other side. So we've got a beautiful little golf sticker, as well as this like British Union Jack, and it says Urban Outlaw. And then we've got a Porsche sticker, and then another Porsche sticker. And I wonder if anything's actually legitimately printed on there, or if it's just like lines, because as you can see, it's absolutely minuscule. I think I'd need a microscope to see that, in all honesty. It's just really crazy. So you can see that it's got the rear defrost, and it also says Rauwelt Begriff on the rear window. And there is also something that says Rückenspeck, and that means bacon, I think, if I remember correctly. So that's the bacon part, and now I think we have ticked off every area of this pink German pig. So that is quite a crazy thing to say, to be honest, but it is pretty funny. And of course, that was one of the reasons why this livery became so famous, is it's got a really good sense of humor. But now let's get to the interior. So of course, we were provided with this little opening tool, so we can just literally open the door with the handle. So that was honestly the first time I've ever opened the door of this car. Let's just actually start with the door itself. So you can see it's got this really interesting sort of like orangey kind of beigey sort of color to it, and this door is looks pretty simplistic. It's just kind of like a single piece molded from one sort of piece, and then we've got some little rivet holes. And it looks very stripped out. So we've got a little bit of a kind of grab handle over there, as well as this interesting shape along the edge there, which I imagine is where the speakers would usually go. But this car really is quite stripped out. And then you can see it's even got a little bit of window switches over here. So I think that would be obviously for winding the window up and down. But it's got a very like simplistic kind of you know, like clean look for race car style of interior. And then also on the dashboard it says RWB over there, and it's got this really cool writing style. It's almost looks like a handwriting, kind of like graffiti style signature. And then in the center there we've also got a little radio with these little silver accents on the buttons, as well as the face of the radio. And we can see some really beautiful gauges in there. We might be able to see them better from the other side once we get to it. But you can see it's got these little chrome accented edges, and you can even see the numbers written on there, which is a really beautiful touch. And then in the center console, we can also see that there are a few buttons in there, and actually one of them seems to be a different color, so that is probably where the start button is. And then we've also got a manual gearbox over there, and we've also got a little handbrake lever. Now looking at it from a little bit of a front kind of angle, we can also see that it's got these very nice looking bucket seats in there. And they've actually got these little perforated sections in the middle. And then you can also see the kind of bolster that these seats have. So obviously it's very race oriented, and it would definitely keep you in place. And you can even see that next to the seat, it almost looks like the seat structure, or it could even be part of the seat belt structure in there. But we don't see any visible seat belts like hanging on the seats or anything like that. And if we look on the interior behind the seats, you can also see it says RWB on the seats themselves. And of course behind the seats you can see that it's got a full roll cage on the inside, so we could actually see a little bit better from this rear window, but you can see where the roll cage kind of joins in onto the body on that side as well as that side. Let's actually just rotate it around and have a better look at this driver's side. Of course, this is a left-hand drive vehicle, so it could be European, which I would be supposing because it is a Porsche, but I'm pretty sure that in China they drive on the left. So we've got this really awesome classic Porsche steering wheel, and it's got these little perforated kind of sections running through it, and we've also got a little Porsche logo, and we've even got this little center you know, like visual that usually for race cars, it just kind of represents the sort of center point of the steering wheel. When you're driving at high speed, you're not really looking around, and that kind of just helps to sort of orient it as well. And then we've got these really beautiful gauges. We can see like temperature gauges. We've got this huge rev counter in the center, and we've even got like the speedo as well as a few other counters. And then underneath the steering column, we can even see the indicator levers, as well as this little button on the left with this kind of silver edge. And then we've also got these perforated pedals as well. And then once again, you can kind of see that center console from this little from this angle over here. And even in this 1/18 scale, you can kind of just feel this raw RWB soul like inside this car. You know, it's got this full-on like stripped out interior, the bucket seats, and it's got a really just driver focused vibe. And I think that's an awesome little thing, especially for this crazy RWB, and the fact that it's you know, like mirroring a race car. I think the effect is really powerful and really cool. So in conclusion, what do I really think about this car? Well, I'm extremely thankful for Solido that they've got such an awesome and amazing job recreating this car, and for allowing us to put this on our shelves and to just be able to admire this really beautiful piece of kind of artistry. From Zuffenhausen to Japan to China, this pink pig isn't just a model, it's pretty much a miniaturized story of cultures, and they're all colliding in the best way possible. I really love the history of the race car, and you know, the fact that it's really comes across in this car. I mean, starting as a failed experiment and now ending up decades later as a piece of rolling sculptural artwork. I just absolutely love this one. And the prices are really good as well. As I said, it's a very recent release, and the prices you're looking between like 40 and 60 pounds, usually shipped from different places in Europe, and they're widely available. And this is one that I highly recommend, and I think it's become one of my new favorites. But let me know in the comments if you'd rock this livery on a real car, or if there's another kind of livery that you'd like to see on an RWB car. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more premium scale car videos, both in 1/64 and 1/18 scale. And thanks everybody for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Ciao.